Yes, people, welcome back to the next episode of the Shoestring Budget podcast. As ever, I'm your host JD, and I am joined by my co-host Tom. How you doing, bro?
Same as always. All good, bro. I'm good.
All good. Now, we've got a lot to discuss, so let's get cracking. Tomorrow, Manchester United face Real Sociedad in their opening game in the Europa League. Not the league that we want to be in, but that's where we're at. Now, what we'll do is we'll quickly talk through who we think is going to play. I think this is going to be a game we're going to see a lot of changes from Erik ten Hag. Obviously, they've had quite a demanding run in the Premier League, played some very tough teams in the last few weeks. So I hope we see a bit of rotation. So, Tom, who do you think? Let's jump straight into it. Who do you think is going to start and why?
You know what? Right. For some reason, in goal, I can see Martin Dubravka starting.
Oh, okay, interesting.
You know, because it's one of them. I feel like that Europa League. It's kind of one of them games where he can prove himself. Obviously, De Gea is De Gea. You're not going to replace him, but I feel like this could be one of them games where Dubravka, like I say, proves himself, and then obviously because we've got that option to buy at the end, haven't we? And if he impresses, it could be his chance to solidify that permanent move to Man United. And I feel like why not give him a chance?
Yeah, it'd be really good to see. I remember when we had Romero, we played a lot of games with him, a lot of Europa League games with him in goal, and he did quite well. It was actually quite nice to see. He didn't get many runs in the Premier League, but yeah, it was good to see in the Europa League. And you know what? I think that's quite a bold start. I would love to see Dubravka to get a chance. Maybe not in the Prem. I like him, but De Gea's De Gea, like you say. I'm always going to be loyal to him. But yeah, so you're going to go with Dubravka.
Maybe Dubravka in like cup games and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. Now we're going to obviously start. We'll go into the starting defence. This one could be quite interesting. There could be a lot of changes, in particular in the back four. I'm going to stick with Diego Dallo at right back. The only reason being was he was in Erik ten Hag's press conference earlier today. Usually when they're in the press conference, they are starters. It could be, he might be on the bench for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who knows. But I'm going to stick with Dallo at right back. Now, I'm going to be a bit controversial. I'm going to go with the back two of Lindelof and Maguire.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same, actually.
Yeah, I think them two are going to get a shot back in the team. Do you know what? I actually like Lindelof. I've got no real beef with Lindelof. Maguire...
Yeah, he's a good player on his day.
Yeah, he's all right. I think he just always needs to have a good partner. I would like to see him and Martinez at some point to see how they do as a dynamic. I think that could be quite interesting because I think Lindelof.
Sorry, go on.
No, you carry on.
Well, I was just gonna say, Lindelof's a good player, but you've got to work hard and prove yourself a lot when you're coming up against the likes of Martinez and Varane, who have got that solid partnership now. They've conceded, 2 goals or whatever.
2 goals in 4 now, yeah.
Yeah, you've got to be at the top of your game and really performing and training every week to even be considered to replace them two. Where I think
and it's
Europa League would be his chance.
No, totally. It's something that's really nice as well. I don't even see it just as a partnership between the back two at the moment. I see it as a partnership between the back four. The way that the 4 of them link up is just fantastic, and the way that they G each other up. I know we spoke about it probably on every podcast now, but for me, when I see them, high-fiving after every tackle or when they do something good, they've got each other's back, and it's so good to see. Whereas when we had Maguire and Lindelof, they sort of just sort of rub their hair and just walk off like, oh dear, another day at the office. I like the dynamic between the 4. But yeah, I'm going to go with that back two of Maguire and Lindelof. I'm a bit nervous about that, don't get me wrong, but I can see that happening. And at left back, this one does come with a caveat, which I will get to, but there is also Luke Shaw at left back. I think that's a safe bet. The only caveat with Luke Shaw is there is a report that has come out today that he could be injured for this game, which is a huge disappointment for him, because this is the kind of game you'd expect him to start in and to really try and show his class against Tyrone Malacia.
Yeah.
So I think this one would be a big shame if he is injured. I think this one would be a shame for him.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think Malassi has been top ever since he's been brought in. And
Yeah,
Luke
totally agree.
Luke Shaw's good. There's no consistency with him. He had that one good season, and then ever since then, it just hasn't been going well for him. And I love Luke Shaw as well. Like I think he's a great player. But I just think, it looks like he's lost that competitive edge.
Yeah, maybe Tyrell Malacia coming in will spark that in him, because if you remember that year we saw the Shawberto Carlos, that was the season that I'm sure we brought in Alex Tellez to compete in his place. And then all of a sudden he like you say, he found that competitive edge. Now I'm hoping that with the addition of Tyrell Malacia, that can reawaken Shawberto and get him back, because we need that Luke Shaw. He's great. Although I'm very happy at this moment and content to stick with Tyrell Malacia, but
I go into games now not worrying at all. I'm not scared to play anybody.
No, that's it. It's nice, and I always feel that back four is solid. So this one's going to be interesting against Real Sociedad. Certainly, if we go with the back four that we've suggested. Now, moving up into midfield, we're sticking with the same formation that Eric Ten Hag seems to like at United. So I'm going with a 4-2-3-1 formation. So the two holding midfielders. I'm going to go with Fred and Casemiro, the Brazilian connection.
Okay, yeah.
I was impressed with I was impressed with Fred, to be fair, on the weekend when he came on.
Fred's always impressed me. I've loved Fred. Everybody's always seems to have this hate about Fred, but I saw it in a different way. Yeah, he might have lost the ball and give his loads of chances away, but at that time I still saw him as probably the most hard-working player in the team, who would give it all for the badge. And he made mistakes. So what?
It's the thing with Fred. He's got absolute passion, and I do love that. And I think there is absolutely a place for that in football. Maybe sometimes lacks the ability, and his final ball is a little bit questionable. But yeah, I'm the same as you. I do enjoy the work rate of Fred, and he is the engine of that team. I always think though with Fred, he's one of those players that does well when McTominay's not in the team, in the similar way that we see McTominay doing well without Fred.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with that, because when they both play together, they just don't seem to be the people that they are when they're not together. If that makes sense.
Yeah, there is something about them that, I mean, McTominay, quickly going on to McTominay, he's been absolutely killing it in this position, in this style of play that Eric Ten Hag has implemented since that Brentford defeat.
It suits him a lot more. It suits McTominay a lot more. This style of play, you've seen it. He's performed so well, like you say, since Brentford, that he doesn't even look like the same player at the minute.
Yeah, it's the difference between night and day. It really is. And also with Casemiro, I think we need to see him get some game time now. He's been used every time as a substitute since he signed for the club. So we saw him as a substitute in the Southampton, Leicester, and Arsenal game. He looks really good.
Talking about Casemiro, Gabby's been back at it again.
Oh gosh, what's Lord Gabby Abonglahor had to say this time?
Talksport, and he got the two options who he thinks is the better player and who he prefers. So it was Casemiro or Xhaka.
Okay.
And he said Xhaka.
Over Casemiro?
Yeah.
How has that guy made? How has he made a lip? Let's just not even go there. Absolute clown.
Let's move on.
Having said that, I had to make an apology the other day though, because I picked Xhaka over Eriksen, but only in that position. That was the only reason. But I did pick, and I completely had to apologise. I had to eat humble pie because Eriksen killed that game the other day.
Yeah, I feel like without Eriksen in that game, we wouldn't have won.
Yeah, he was the difference between the two teams.
He was the glue.
Yeah, absolutely was. Moving up slightly up into the sort of center of midfield now. This one is actually quite difficult because I would like to see Donny van de Beek play. Now, he's a player that obviously knows Eric Ten Hag's system. They work together very closely at Ajax, and a lot of people speculated that he would be a starter under Eric Ten Hag, but he just hasn't. I mean, even on the weekend, he didn't even make the bench. Now, there were some rumours that was due to the wedding that was supposed to have taken place, although I've heard mixed reports about this supposed wedding. But he didn't even make it onto the bench, and they decided to go with two goalkeepers over picking Donny van de Beek. Now, that could be injury related, that could be personal related, I don't know. But I would like to see Donny van de Beek given a chance in Eric Ten Hag's system that he's used to playing and that suits his style of play. I would like to see him play over Bruno and Eriksen in this game.
Yeah, he's never Donny van de Beek's never really settled in at United. He's never shown us really why we brought him. We know he's got the class. We know he's a good player, but he's yet to show us, why he should have a place in this team. We haven't seen that fight or anything from him. So for us, it's just like, it's another backup.
It's what it's been, and it's quite interesting because when Ollie signed him and didn't play him, everybody questioned Ollie and said, how can we be, leaving out this fantastic talent on the bench? And a lot of people slated Ollie for that. And then Ralph came in, and Ralph didn't really seem to like him and loaned him out to Everton. And then when he was at Everton, I can't really remember him setting the world on fire. And then he's come back to United with Eric Ten Hag, and like I said before, a lot of people speculated that he would be a starter in this system. And as it seems at the moment, Eric Ten Hag doesn't even seem to fancy him playing. I think he did start in maybe the Brighton game. I think he was definitely a part of either the Brentford game or the Brighton game, and I can't really remember him doing too much. Yeah, so it doesn't seem to me at this moment that even Eric Ten Hag values him at this point. Maybe that's a bit harsh, but I can't see anything to disprove that point. So I think that's going to be interesting. But that for me would be, I would like to see that. I would like to see Donny play over Bruno.
Yeah. And then like I feel like, obviously moving on to striker, I feel like Ronaldo will start 100%.
100%. Yeah, that's nailed on, I think.
Yeah, and I feel like the wings, he'll probably start Elanga. No, Elanga isn't going, is he?
I'm not sure about if Elanga's going to be playing against Sociedad.
Yeah.
It could be. I've gone with the front three, and this is, I think one of them is a definite, the other maybe not so much. The definite is Anthony. I think Anthony will get more game time in this game.
100%.
He needs the fitness. Obviously, he missed quite a few weeks when he was still at Ajax. When he was on strike, he missed a lot of training then. He came on and had an absolute fantastic debut, really, with the goal that he scored against Arsenal. And let's quickly talk about Anthony, just very quickly. What did you think watching that Arsenal game? What did you think of Anthony?
Okay, I'll be completely 100% honest here. I thought he was okay. Right, obviously he got the goal, but he got himself into the right position, and if he misses from there, it's terrible. If he scores, it's expected. But I think with him, he tries to show off a bit too much, and you saw it in that game. Don't get me wrong, he's an amazing player, but I feel like, the Premier League is a completely different type of place compared to where he was playing before. And defenders won't take any of that, they'll just go straight through you or whatever. Obviously we're showing off some of his skills or whatever, and obviously we love it, we just do, but I feel like, he needs to probably focus a bit more on the game as much as his skills, if you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I do see what you mean. He was showboating. There was a couple of times where, he tried doing a couple of dummies and things. What I really like about Anthony is I'm going to be very careful with how I word this. He reminds me very much of a young Cristiano Ronaldo. when Ronaldo first came to the Premier League, he was very raw, did a lot of flicks, a lot of tricks, almost too many. And I remember there was a point where people were getting on his back because he should have made a pass, but instead he decided to do a step over, things like that. I feel like Anthony's going to be a very similar player. The difference between Ronaldo and Anthony, one is the price tag. Certainly comparing at this age, at a very young age, and also the fact I think Anthony has a bit more character than Ronaldo. Not in the sense of
Ronaldo back then was quite shy, wasn't he? You know,
exactly.
He didn't really know much.
No, I totally agree, and that's the point I'm making. Anthony, the other day when he celebrated and he's kissing the badge and he's putting the ball under his, to make it like he had a baby, and he was giving it the tiger, and I love that. I love the shithousery of that, and the fact it was in front of the Arsenal fans was even better.
Yeah, I think one thing you can say about Anthony is, from the very beginning, he's been United, from the going on strike at Ajax, putting in a transfer request, trying to force Ajax to sell him to Man United. He's finally got his move, and you could see how much it meant to him when he did score with his celebration.
Oh, he was so happy. He's probably the happiest man in the stadium,
That's what you want. You want a player who was literally going to fight for the club because they love the club, and that's what you got with Anthony.
Yeah, absolutely. The passion with him is unreal, and it's so lovely to see. And also the relationship he has with Erik ten Hag, and you can see that. You can see the love he has for Erik, and he would die for Erik. So it's good that we've got players like that. We need players like that, and I'm really excited to see what he becomes, because at the moment, like I say, he's got the raw potential to be as good as somebody like Cristiano, and I'm really excited to see how Cristiano, or if Cristiano takes him under his wing and tries to help him.
Yeah, because all Ronaldo wanted when he came back to United is to help them to start winning trophies again and help them build up, and I feel like he's getting that now, so he shouldn't be this miserable, world-class footballer at a mediocre team anymore. Anyway, he's this miserable world-class footballer at a team that's getting better, and I feel like he should see that and start getting more into it. If you know what I mean, like you said, taking players under his wing and all this stuff.
That's it, and I do think we are starting to see the best of Cristiano now, because in the last two games in particular, the timing is a little bit dubious, but I will get to that. But you look at the last two games in particular, we had the Leicester game on Thursday, which was transfer deadline day, and at that point it was pretty much nailed on that he would be staying at United. When he came on, I thought he looked a real threat. I thought he tried that extra bit. When I saw him against Southampton and against Liverpool, I didn't really think he tried. Leicester, I think he tried, and certainly against Arsenal. If Fred had put the ball through better, if Bruno had been quicker with his pass, he would have had 2 goals against Arsenal. So I'm really excited to see if Ronaldo gets back into the team, which I think he will. I think he'll work his way back in, what he can bring to this style of play that Erik ten Hag is trying to set.
I feel like at the minute though, Rashford's kind of set himself, because he's been getting the game against Arsenal. He got 2 goals and an assist.
Displacing Rashford at this point is going to be very, very difficult, if not impossible, because Rashford's in such a rich vein of form. He's starting to recapture what made United fans fall in love with him. So, yeah, it's going to be a very difficult one for Ronaldo. I never thought we'd be having the conversation of Rashford benching Ronaldo. I never thought that would be a topic of conversation, but it's football, and here we are. I'm going to move on to the left-hand side now. This is a player that I would love to start, but I don't think will quite make it in tomorrow's squad, and that is Garnacho.
I was going to mention Garnacho. I would love to see him play.
I was really happy when I saw him play pre-season. I can't remember who he played. It was one of the Spanish teams, I think it was. Maybe it was Granada. Rayo Vallecano, I think it was. Yeah, one of those teams we played in the pre-season match, and I thought the game was.
At Old Trafford, was it?
It was on the Sunday at Old Trafford. Yeah, so we played Atletico Madrid on the Saturday. Yeah, we played Atletico on the Saturday, and then we played this unknown Spanish team on the Sunday.
It was Vallecano, trust me, because I watched all
Vallecano.
the preseason.
And he was the shining light in that team. I thought the team was actually quite poor that day. I wasn't impressed with barely anybody in that team.
Yeah,
But
he stood out
Garnacho,
the most.
oh yeah, he was taking players on in a very similar way to what we said about Anthony about having character. He didn't look scared to try and make a run or to make a pass. He looked fearless. And I love that in a player. That's what, for me, you need to have. Certainly as a young player, just be fearless. If you're going to mess up, that is the opportunity in the platform to mess up, is when you're young. So I would love to see Garnacho. However, it could be Rashford, it could be Sancho playing on the left. But yeah, for me, it would be Garnacho. And I hope Erik ten Hag agrees with that.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to see him play.
So that is our team. Now, looking at Real Sociedad, I'm just going to quickly run through their season so far. So they've obviously been playing in La Liga. They currently sit in 9th position. They've played 4 games so far, winning 2 of those, drawing once and losing once. Now, there's 2 interesting stats for me here that they kind of sat me up a little bit. So they've only scored 4 times this season. So averaging obviously a goal a game, which is not too dissimilar from us, to be honest. Let's be honest. We're scoring 1 or 2 goals a game, or winning by 1 or 2 goals. However, they've conceded 5. So the defense isn't great, but neither is ours, really. At the moment, it is, but it didn't have a great start. And looking at this now, they've also only won away from home. Their 2 wins this season have come away from home. They're obviously playing at Old Trafford tomorrow. That kind of worries me because they're a team that knows how to win on the road. Do you think they've got much of a chance?
It all depends for me. I think if Erik ten Hag doesn't change the squad and he keeps the squad that he's been playing in the Prem, then no, I don't think they do stand a chance. But I think if he does change the squad and we just start Maguire, Lindelof, Donny van der Beek, on all these players, I think they will have a chance.
So it moves on nicely to the score predictions. What are your score predictions for the game tomorrow?
I think 2-0 United.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 2-1 tomorrow. I think if we go with the back 2 of Maguire and Lindelof, I'm gonna go with a 2-1. Can't see them keeping a clean sheet. However, they have lost their main striker in Isaac. They lost him to Newcastle.
Newcastle, yeah.
What a player, by the way, he's looking like he's going to be. So just before we wrap this up, we've had a lot of interactions on social media, which is fantastic. That's exactly what we want. I'm going to read out some messages that we've had about tomorrow's game. So Dan's messaged us and he said he thinks it'll be a chance for Erik ten Hag to give chances to some of the fringe players, as well as putting in the likes of Casemiro and Ronaldo to give them valuable game time. That being said, I'd love a decent run in this tournament. It's not out of the question for us to do well, and I hope we don't rest too many to cause disruption. And he's going with a United win of 2-0. Jordan's also tweeted in saying he can see us dominating possession and looking to utilise the front 3 on the counter-attack. Think we will start with Casemiro this time and McTominay will miss out. That's pretty much what we've said as well. Yeah. He's also gone on to say Rashford will remain with Anthony and Sancho, so he's going with the front 3 that we saw against Arsenal, which is quite interesting. And the back 4 speaks for itself. By that, I assume he means the back 4 from the game against Arsenal too. So it looks like pretty much the same team that played against Arsenal, bar Casemiro. And he can.
What you could say there, though. Sorry, I suppose what you could say there though is he kind of makes a point of sticking with the same front 3. Because Anthony's new, so you still want to have that chemistry between the 3. You still want to give them all game time together as much as you can.
Yeah, that's it. The only argument I would have to that, and the only thing that I would be hesitant of, is we have a lot of games this season. And we do have a lot of games coming up, and obviously with it being the World Cup season as well, there's going to be a lot of games cramped together. And Erik did say in his presser today about how he's very conscious of the amount of games Manchester United have got to play this year. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword. I would love to continue with the same back 4, but I would also be quite happy if he did change it up. It's a difficult one. But Jordan also went on to say he can see us winning by 2 or 3. Jamie's also messaged us. He said he's sticking with the same front three: Bruno, as well as Bruno, Anthony, Sancho, and Rashford. And he thinks Ten Hag will rest a few from Sunday's game. So thank you to Jamie for sending that in. We've also had Max, and he says it's going to be he's predicting a 1-1. He hates Spanish teams, he goes on to say here. But he is going for the front three of Sancho, Ronaldo, and Elanga. And Casemiro also gets into his midfield alongside Fred and Bruno. And the back four, he's going with Dalot, Maguire, Martinez, and Malassi. So no place for Shaw or Lindelof in Max's team. Thank you, Max, for sending that in. And the last message we've received is from Peter. He's messaged in saying, I feel like there's going to be at least 10 changes. We will still be a strong squad and can see only possibly Anthony playing as he needs the fitness. I think there'll be a few youth players on the bench that might get 30 minutes if we're in control of the game. Yeah, that could be interesting. 10 changes, that could be very interesting. I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be upset if that happened. I would love to see Charlie Savage and Zidane Iqbal get a chance as well, because I thought pre-season they were fantastic. So I wouldn't be opposed to that. I would like that. Maybe like Peter does say, though, once we're in control of the game.
Yeah, definitely.
And last but not least, I'm going to give out some shout outs to some people who have followed us today on Twitter. We are just a few followers away from that big 100. So after listening to this, please share, please retweet, get us those last 3. I beg you, please. We are so close. And it would be absolutely fantastic to get more people involved in this community that we are building here at the Shoestring Budget Podcast. So this is a shout out to Gotaldo, to Paul Smith, to Amoa Alfred, and also to Danny T. Thank you guys for following. We've followed back as well. As always on the Shoestring Budget Podcast, my name's Jordan, and I'm also Tom. Any final thoughts on tomorrow's game, or any final thoughts that you want to get out there today?
Let's fucking have it.
Let's have it. That's what I like to hear. Remember, Glazers out. Get that hashtag going, because it has died down a little bit. There has been a lot of talk as well about Manchester United potentially selling, but we'll cover that in another podcast. And as ever, I will be here tomorrow after tomorrow's game to give a reaction to whatever outcome that is tomorrow. It's going to be good, man. It's going to be crazy. We've had a lot of predictions, all of them positive, I'd say, bar Max with the 1-1. Everyone seems to think it will be a United win, and fingers crossed. Well, thank you everybody as ever for listening to the Shoestring Budget Podcast. We are now also on Spotify and on Anchor. The links will be in the description. Please check us out on there. It'll help the channel massively. You can listen to us whilst you're playing your games, whilst you're doing the dishes, whilst you're chilling out. Please like, subscribe, and share this out. Let's get this community really building. It's built a lot over the last few days, and we're so grateful. So thank you. And let's enjoy tomorrow's game. Come on, United. Peace, bro.